This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week.
This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring defense attorney, Hidden Killers daily contributor, and host of the Defense Diaries podcast, Bob Motta.
How odd is that, too, especially if you did not do this, to make multiple confessions to multiple people all over the place, people you don't need to be confessing anything to, but then all of it not adding up. That just, to me, I'm not an expert in this by any means, but it seems that is just kind of the ramblings of a madman if you're just saying this over and over to people.
Right. And, you know, like having been fortunate enough to never be stricken with psychosis or, you know, having been held in, you know, solitary confinement for over a year, you know, to where I've really kind of lost my faculties. And, you know, and the one thing that we know, the other thing that becomes evident from those motions is that Rick Allen is like never left alone.
Yeah.
Talking about whether it be correctional officers constantly monitoring him or whether it be other inmates, convicted felons, they are always watching him. And like, I try to tell people this. I'm like, if people don't understand that in cases like this, whether it be in the county jail, which is typically where pretrial detainees are held, if people don't think that correctional officers and or other people that may be planted into cells by the government or the state are trying to work confessions out of these guys, they're delusional. It happens all the time. I mean, it's a move. It's a move. Like in a case where we can see that they're light on evidence from at least what we've seen. You know, we've got this like this unspent casing that apparently there's no chain of custody in terms of, you know, and if we've got, you know, some witnesses that say that they see him out there. I mean, the confessions then take on a huge role in the state's case. And when you can kind of show that there's maybe a motive to get this guy to confess because maybe the other parts of the case aren't so strong, it all kind of starts to add up a little bit more in terms of, you know, you have to understand that there is, and it doesn't have to be some big conspiracy. It doesn't have to be Nick McClellan calling, you know, Westville and saying, I need, you know, and talking to the warden and saying, I need your guard squeezing a confession out of Allen. You know, it can just be a situation where correctional officers understand the importance of getting because it happens all the time in county jails too. They understand the importance of getting a guy that's in custody to confess. You know, so they try to work it. I mean, you know, they won't let you sleep. You know, they'll keep you. It's like all the shit that they do psychologically to mess with you, and then suggesting, you know, you're a child killer, you're a child killer, you're a child killer. You know, over and over and over and over. And when you've lost your faculties, when you can't tell up from down and left from right and reality from what's not reality, you know, I don't know. I mean, it gets to like Cruel and Unusual at some point, but we're just kind of like, that's how it works. Right. Yeah.
And it's wrong. I mean, and is there incentive for someone to be able to get a confession out of someone, whether that be an inmate that is playing that role or a guard or whoever, to get that out of them?
I mean, there could be. Like, obviously, they're not going to be able to make some deal with an inmate where they're saying, we want you to illegally coerce a confession out of Allen and we're going to do you a favor. You're never going to find anything in writing.
Sure.
You know, and you're never going to find anything in writing like from, you know, a CO, like, if you get this guy, you know, they're not going to have the roll call in the morning with everybody that's charged with, you know, watching Rick Allen that day and say, hey, whoever squeezes the confession out of Allen today, you're looking at a bump.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to get a nice pay. Like, you're never going to see that shit, you know? So it's like,
but it's unsaid. I mean,
it's, look, man, and I say it from experience. This isn't me just like guessing. Like, I know what they did with like my client Garcia for 3 years leading into that trial.
Yeah.
You know, they were torturing him constantly, the same shit, 23-hour seg, wouldn't let him sit, you know, wouldn't let him sleep. Kept telling us like they're torturing me, like we couldn't get him to talk about anything else. Like we couldn't get him to talk about his case at all because he was just so obsessed with the fact that they were torturing him all the time psychologically.
Yeah.
And, ultimately the end result is they're rolling him out and he sleeps through his trial. The guy was like a shell of what he formerly was. And it's psychological warfare, and it's done by the state so that they can secure convictions. Because, if you think trying a death penalty case where, a client is charged with, in that case, 4 homicides, one of them being an 11-year-old boy, and the guy's sleeping through his trial, that's not going to play well with the jury.
No.
The jury's going to be like, this guy doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, this guy obviously did it. You know what I mean? It's like perception is everything. So,
Sure.
it's crazy.
It is crazy. And it's a side that I think most people don't realize actually happens out there. They think he's getting his exercise in, he's meeting his meals. No, that's not what's going on here. It's legalized torture that's going on. Yeah.
Yep.
It's scary. We'll see how that continues on.
Sick of the ads?
We are too.
Start listening with no commercials now and get access to all of our episodes in advance of everyone else.
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
True Crime Today Premium Plus.
Sign up now.